Alrighty then, welcome back to Psych, friends. In the last video, we looked at one theory that explains the concept of forgetting, the retrieval failure theory. In this video, we're looking at another, interference theory. Let me explain. The interference theory suggests that sometimes forgetting occurs due to the presence of other information. Basically, the presence of one memory inhibits the retrieval of another memory. We have too many memories. Interference theory is particularly poignant when the two memories are very similar. The more similar two memories are, the more likely they are to clash. There are two types of interference according to the interference theory. There is proactive interference, which is when an old memory affects the retrieval of a new memory. And there is retroactive interference, which is when a new memory affects the retrieval of an old memory. These two types are often confused, so we can remember the mnemonic device PAWN to aid us. Proactive equals old affecting new, and retroactive equals new affecting old. Now, I probably wouldn't go so far as to start writing PAWN all over my books, but I find it a pretty effective revision tool. How about an example of each then? Proactive interference, the old affecting the new, may occur if, for example, you are the youngest in your family. Say there are two brothers, Dave and Julian. Dave is 6 years older than Julian. Dave and Julian's mother often accidentally calls Julian Dave. The reason for this is because the older memory of Dave's name is interfering with the retrieval of the more recently encoded memory of Julian's name. Continuing with the theme of incorrect names, we can look at retroactive interference too. Imagine you have been tutoring for 3 years, and this year you are tutoring a student who looks a lot like one of your students from 3 years ago. One day, on the train, you bump into your old student, but accidentally call them the name of your current student. Here, the more recently encoded information, the name of your present student, is interfering with the retrieval of the information that was encoded longer ago, the name of your ex-student. Retroactive interference at work. Maybe we should all just wear name tags all of the time. Like the retrieval failure theory, the interference theory doesn't really account for procedural memory. Now onto a question. There are two parts to this one, so strap yourselves in. It is from the 2011 VCAR exam. The case study tells of a school that already teaches French and wishes to choose another second language to teach out of Italian and Chinese. The basis of the decision will be which language interferes the least with French. The principal divided the Year 7 students into two groups to see which language the school should choose. Students in Group A learnt French and then Italian, and were then tested on French. Students in Group B learnt French and then Chinese, and were then tested on French. Part A of the question reads, identify and define the type of interference being tested by Groups A and B. This is a bit of a trick question, because the type of interference being tested by both groups is the same. Both groups learn French first and then learn a second language, either Chinese or Italian. Then they are tested on French. So the school is seeing how much learning the second language interferes with the first language, or in other words, how much the more recent information interferes with the less recent information. That is new affecting the old. So our mnemonic device PAWN will tell us that this is retroactive interference. To complete the question, we just need to define retroactive interference. So our answer could be something like, retroactive interference, when new information, such as Italian or Chinese, inhibits the retrieval of previously learnt information, such as French. Let's move on to the second part of the question now. It reads, with reference to interference theory, is the principal more likely to choose Italian or Chinese as the second language in her school, and why? For this, you will receive 1 mark for saying either Italian or Chinese, and 1 mark for your justification. Now, remembering that the interference theory is more pronounced when the information is similar, we could say this. The principal is more likely to choose Chinese as the second language in the school. According to interference theory, there is more interference when the information is similar. French and Chinese are very dissimilar, meaning that there would not be much interference. Conversely, French and Italian are very similar, which will result in a lot of interference. Phew, that's it. That was a long one, so check out the rest of this page if you want to go over any of it. Keep working hard and have a psychedelic day.